Well, I'm sure that you are as moved as I am by the fact that they are requiring Donald Trump to have to go to New York and experience this humiliating psychological, social persecution. And half the country, because we don't know if the polls are accurate, but it would make sense. Half the country says, yeah, good for him, it's no one's above the law. And I'm beginning to worry that if these polls are true, that America has a higher idiocy curve than I ever thought, which makes it very vulnerable to any foreign country having power over us. I mean, the whole idea that no one's above the law, and it's one of those media matters things, where everybody says no one's above the law, no one's above the law, no one's above the law, no one's above the law. What the hell? I would have no self-respect if I was in those professions where I have to feed those lines into my mouth. Anyway, no one should be manipulated by the law. No one should be persecuted by the law. No one should be illegally tried by the law. Trump's going to beat this. But while this is being fought, another indictment's going to come, because their goal is to so smear him and make him so toxic, so loathsome, so stigmatized that this is like the trial of Pilate right now, where the crowd is crying for his death. I'm not saying that Jesus and Trump are the same, but I'm saying that the story is familiar. When God sends a deliverer, and the people actually reject the deliverer, and the deliverer has to go through being in a leadership crisis. It's pretty tough. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in his spot right now, because there's a third indictment coming. Each indictment, don't misunderstand me. Each one of them is another chain wrapped around him. But I believe each indictment's going to fail, and each one is going to cause something to happen amongst the people. And something that's going to happen is we're going to realize, as Glenn Beck said, we're all MAGA now. We're all Trump. It has nothing to do with DeSantis Trump style tweets. It has to do with the fact that they chose him as the object, the branded object that represents a people who get in their way. Rush Limbaugh wrote an article about Donald Trump while he was alive. He said, understand, the elite, the Beltway elite, the infrastructure of Washington, the power brokers, cannot tolerate an outsider coming to the men's club. If you come up through the ranks, you're okay. But if you come in from the outside, it is unacceptable. You're a threat to the entire regime. They all are happy. Even Lindsey Graham doing his passionate, he has to do that Hannity speech just to shore up the base. But personally, you can see these guys are so seeped and pickled in hypocrisy that I can even tell when they're talking so passionately that they're really trying to rev up the base. If you really felt as strong as you do, Lindsey, then you would be doing something with a prosecutor to go after the January 6th crowd. These guys all believe it's January 6th crowd were insurrectionists. They all think Trump stirred up an insurrection. Understand that? McConnell and Lindsey Graham all believe the January 6th narrative, which is so stupid because they're right there in Washington and could see with half a brain the degree of police complicity in setting that thing up. But their narrative is Trump's an outsider and they want to get rid of him and get rid of you. I'm serious about this. So we are all Trump now. We're all MAGA. I'm wearing my Real America voice hat now because I'm going off to the Middle East. I'm taking off on a plane right now to Madrid. It's really weird, man. I'm sitting there outside waiting, so I got here like an hour too early. Well, my wife got us here an hour early. She insisted. And I felt like really strange. I turned around. There's a guy on a mat praying to Mecca. I mean, literally stretched out on a mat right behind my head. The glass was between us, and he's praying. I could feel behind me something was going on. The guy was praying to Mecca. And I was affected by it because I thought, these people believe so strongly in what they're doing. They throw a carpet down at an airport and pray and bow their head and touch the ground like 3 times. I thought, man, maybe the church needs to start doing something like this. Maybe we need to start to look more conspicuously like we are not fitting in, like we're not trying to fit in. We're not trying to be cool in the cool club, that our devotion is more serious than that. Well, anyway, I agree with Charlie Kirk. If you guys can get a hold of the broadcast I did last night, if it could survive a little tech suppression, I said with Charlie Kirk and Kash Patel, we need our DAs and our AGs to very quickly start to prosecute the Democrats the same way that they've gone after Bannon, they've gone after Flynn, they've gone after Papadopoulos, they've gone after My God, who's the guy they first put in there, in jail for getting Trump elected? You know who I'm talking about. And they did it with Roger Stone. There's about 7 or 8 they punished, and then none of them struck. None of them that lied. Hillary, that paid for the Russian stuff. The Hunter Biden laptop suppressors and the FBI. None of them ever pay a price. But they've got like 7 or 8 of these of the conservatives have all been jailed or almost bankrupted by cases. This is lawfare, and it's time that the conservatives started to push back. We need DAs. If you're going to be elected in a red state and you are an AG, which is an almost governor, and you have any aspiration of being a governor, forget it. The test for us right now with you is, who are you prosecuting? We're not asking you to do what they did to Trump, make up a crime. We're asking you to go after the crime. Go after the rioters, the Antifa rioters, the BLM rioters, the burners of limousines, the destruction of property, the killers of police. Understand? And if we don't actually, people say, well, as a Christian you must do this. As a Christian, you must do this. You must do it for the sake of your children. You must do it for the sake of the next generation. You must hold the ground and push back with every lawful method and energy you've got in order to hold the line, because these people will steal from you your vote. They'll steal from you your home. They'll steal from you your property. They'll steal from you your economy. The devil is already stripping America economically. Now, the positive side out of all this is that I've never seen the ground clear up faster. We're not having a DeSantis-Trump problem now. Anybody that's got a DeSantis obsession or boy crush needs to recognize the enemy has picked the target. It's like they're going for William Wallace, and we're going to have to deal with Longshanks. And Trump has a difficult path to the presidency because there are 5 swing states with 5 counties that are corruptly, as far as I'm concerned, locked up. You can't get a Republican or conservative into the White House through Maricopa, Fulton County, Philadelphia. You can't. The counties and Cook County, Nevada. I'm sorry, those states you could be winning the states by 5%, but it's not enough. So we're going to have to go to each of those states. We're going to be doing a Fire and Glory tour, Mario and me. And we're going to ask intercessors to help us target each of those states. We're going to be looking for the legislators, looking for the DAs, looking for the attorney generals. We're going to be meeting with 5,000 to 10,000 patriots. We're going to have 1,000 to 2,000 saved at each event. We're going to be raising up 4,000 grassroots saints that are going to be in the war for schools and for election integrity. And they're going to be such a swing vote force for the Republican Party that we can see the Republican Party shaken to the core. And that's the only way you can do it, folks. You're going to have to do it through the instrumentality of power and deliverable constituency. We're going to have to show up with thousands in each of these states. Then they'll respect you. Then they'll listen to you. Remember, they couldn't arrest Jesus at daylight because of the crowds. They had to arrest him at night. We want the crowds on our side. We're the crowd people, because the Great Awakening, the preaching, the gathering, the left can't compete with it. You could buy your Soros followers dressed like they're in Antifa black pajamas, but you can't get 5,000 to 10,000 people to hear and experience the power of the gospel, the live worship, the miracle signs and wonders, the prophetic charge exposing and tearing the veil off the hypocrisy of high places and rulers in this nation. Bam! We're talking about prophetic revival. That's what we're seeing happen. Go to fireandglorytour.com, fireandglorytour.com, and join us in one of those states. Next state's going to be Colorado. They took Colorado from us. They took a red state and flipped it blue. Well, it's time we had a flipping revival. All right, pray for me as I'm off to the Middle East. Pray for me with my Iberian journey. All right, talk to you later. Oh, how could I forget? I'll be in big trouble with my office. Fire and Glory. You know we're doing that? I'm doing 3 days. I'm coming up in June. I think it's in June or July. June, July. I'm going to do 3 days in San Diego. If you want to hang out with me, go to lancewallnau.com/dream trip. We're going to be talking about the dreams people have, the dreams that God's given you, and how to interpret the dream strategy right now for going where God's called you to go. God factored you into this time in history. You were born for this moment. It's not a mistake that you're here. I don't care what your age is. I don't care what the demographics are. I don't care what's happening in the elections. I don't care what's happening with the economy. You were supposed to be alive right now, and God has a script for you. That script is your dream. We've got to nail it. Those of us that are north of 50, this is it, man. This is called the conversion zone. This is when we walk in fulfillment of what God called us to do. Go to lancewallnau.com/dream trip. Check out the details and be part of the 200 or 300. We got to cut the thing off. I don't want it to be a big group. And we're going to have some very powerful time together, 2 or 3 days, for about 3 days of dream tripping. tripping with Lance. Love you. Talk to you later. Did I do this right?